just past midnight in Moscow, Idaho, a peaceful college town where students laugh, party, and dream about the future. No one knew that within a few hours, this same town would wake up to one of the darkest nights in American history. November 13th, 2022. Inside a three-story off-campus home on King Road, 5 students were sleeping, but by sunrise, only one of them would walk out alive. 4 young souls, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were brutally murdered in their own beds. No robbery, no sign of forced entry, just pure horror. The question that soon followed, who could have done something like this, would lead to a man whose job was to study murderers. Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old PhD student at Washington State University, soft-spoken, intelligent, focused, and obsessed with understanding criminal minds. He wasn't just studying criminology, he lived and breathed it. He wrote research papers about how killers choose their victims. He even tried to survey criminals online, asking, "How did you feel before you committed your crime? What drove you to do it?" At first glance, he was just a student fascinated by psychology. But as detectives later realized, his fascination might have turned into something far darker. 3:28 a.m., November 13th. A white Hyundai Elantra is seen on surveillance cameras driving repeatedly through the King Road neighborhood. It passes the same street 4 times. At 4:04 a.m., the car returns again, its headlights off. Moments later, faint sounds of movement and a muffled scream are heard inside the house. By 4:20 a.m., the same car speeds away into the darkness. Inside, 4 students lay dead. 2 others, miraculously, survived. When police arrived that morning, what they saw was chaos. Blood on the walls, beds overturned, phones scattered, and near one of the bodies, a small brown leather sheath. On it, a single trace of male DNA. That single clue would change everything. Detectives had no suspect, no motive, and no weapon. But they had one lead, that car. They searched DMV databases, surveillance footage, and traffic cameras across Idaho and Washington. Days turned into weeks. Then a breakthrough. Washington State University campus police found security footage of a white Hyundai Elantra registered to Bryan Kohberger. Detectives started digging into his background. No criminal record, no violence. Just a quiet criminology student who lived 10 miles from the murder scene. But then came the DNA match. Investigators secretly collected trash from Kohberger's parents' home in Pennsylvania. When tested, the DNA from that trash matched the sample found on the knife sheath. The odds? More than 99.9%. It was enough. On December 30th, 2022, SWAT teams broke into his family's home and arrested him in the middle of the night. The criminology student had just become the headline of the very crimes he once analyzed. When the news broke, people couldn't believe it. A criminology PhD student accused of a quadruple murder? Friends and professors were stunned. Some said Bryan was awkward, but harmless. Others remembered the way he stared at people, almost as if he was studying them. But the public wanted answers. Why those 4 students? What was the connection? What was his motive? Investigators dug through his phone records, laptop data, and social media. No direct link was ever found between Kohberger and the victims. No texts, no messages, no photos, nothing. As detectives followed the digital breadcrumbs, more unsettling patterns appeared. Kohberger's cell phone had pinged near the King Road house at least 12 times before the murders. Always late at night, always in the same area. Was he stalking the house or studying it as part of his obsession with crime scenes? No one knows. Even today, police say, we still can't confirm his reason for being there. Then there was his search history, terms related to tracking cell towers, DNA analysis, and how to leave no trace. He'd even turned off his phone for a 2-hour window during the murders, the only time it went dark for weeks. Every move looked calculated, every step rehearsed. It was as if the killer wanted to prove he could outsmart everyone. In July 2025, after nearly 2 years of hearings, Bryan Kohberger stunned the court by pleading guilty to all charges, 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 of burglary. The judge sentenced him to 4 life sentences without parole. But even in that moment, he never explained why. No apology, no tears, just silence. His lawyers revealed later that Bryan had been diagnosed with autism, OCD, ADHD, and a restrictive eating disorder called ARFID. But psychologists say none of that justifies cold-blooded murder. And that brings us to the haunting truth. We still don't know the why. Even with the case closed, some questions remain frozen in time. Why those victims? Out of hundreds of students in Moscow, why that one house? Was it personal or purely random? What was the motive? Power? Control? A twisted experiment? Or was it something darker? Sexual, psychological, or even academic? Who was the intended target? Some believe Kaylee or Madison were the main targets. Others think Bryan simply wanted to kill anyone. Where is the murder weapon? The knife sheath was found. The knife itself? Never recovered. Why didn't he fight the case? He spent months saying he was innocent, then suddenly pled guilty. Did he do it to protect someone? Or was he tired of pretending? Why the silence? At sentencing, when given a chance to speak, he refused, not a single word. Some investigators think Kohberger viewed the killings as a control fantasy, a way to feel dominant after years of isolation. Others think he wanted to create the perfect crime, a test of his own intelligence. He studied criminal profiling, DNA mistakes, and investigative psychology, and still left behind the one thing he couldn't control, a single trace of himself. It's chilling to think that maybe, deep down, he wanted to be caught, to be known, to be remembered, even for the worst thing imaginable. But beyond the theories and the courtroom drama were 4 young lives. Kaylee, Madison, Zana, and Ethan. Friends, siblings, dreamers. Their families still struggle with the question, why? No motive can ever bring them peace, and Bryan's silence only deepens their pain. For them, this isn't just a story of crime and punishment. It's a story of stolen futures and unanswered questions that will echo for years. Bryan Kohberger now spends every day in a small prison cell, under heavy watch. No more criminology classes, no more research, just silence. Maybe that's what he wanted, to keep the world guessing forever, to die with the secret that everyone's still trying to solve. And maybe that's the scariest part of all. What do you think happened that night? Was it a calculated experiment by a genius gone mad, or something even darker? Let me know your theory in the comments. Sometimes the ones who study darkness become it. Before we begin, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. You don't want to miss what happens next.